Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Eva Rogos here with You First Therapist. Thank you very much for your time and your attention, all the messages that I've been getting from you. I am really absolutely flattered, so thank you very much for that, for taking time to send me a little brightening message about yourself and about how you're doing, and asking me about how my day's been. It's beautiful, it's amazing. I love the way some of you trust me from the very set off without really personally knowing me, and how you can open up and talk about your own experiences and your own problems. Sorry, it's just Katie here, resting on my lap. Katie's a therapy dog, as you probably know, and she's trying to get in this video just as well. So the purpose of today's video is a little different. I will try to keep it in under 10 minutes, so I can post it on more than just YouTube, okay? So I was getting quite a lot of messages from you, which all of them were lovely, but quite a few messages were asking me about passion to therapy and life coaching and hypnotherapy, and if I really truly believe in what I do, and the power of hypnosis and the power of coaching and the power of setting goals, and how on earth did I end up in my life where I am right now, talking to you, having my business, working with so many different peoples around the world. And um, I'm I'm not surprised you want to know all the things about me, and I'm quite probably a little disappointed at myself for actually not providing you with all that information later on, because we cannot trust just by seeing someone popping up suddenly one day and wanting to swoosh you off your feet, thinking that I can do some good in your life. So my journey with life coaching started quite a while ago. At first, I graduated psychology, so I really loved that. And the only thing I was never a fan of was how some uh, teachers, mentors, our professors would say that working with human mind, it's like such a terribly daunting and hard work, and it takes ages to understand human's brain. And as much as I like to think that I've got a lot of time left in this world, none of us have so many years to work with human mind. So I wanted to believe in something slightly different, some sort of science, call it science, that where we can actually have some certain rules or formulas or some kind of plan that we can stick with, and maybe concentrate more on the future and where we're going, and how we can actually forget the things that happened in the past, the things that held us back from achieving our goals, and actually help us reach our goals, and obviously our tap into our potential, and make sure that we can actually be what we want to be, instead of going back many light years back, seeing trying to figure out what happened, when and why. That is very important. It is part of the science, it is part of psychology, it is still part of coaching to know yours and everyone else's history. Any clients is very important, because this is how we build up understanding of the trigger that would be causing you to be whether stuck, wherever you're stuck at, or basically if you're suffering from, I don't know, PTSDs or anxieties, the root of the problem is somewhere, right? So I never really got to work as psychologist. I never completed my training, where I had to do certain number of hours to actually become a trained psychologist, but I did enjoy my studies very much. And following that, I actually went to work as a community interpreter, where I worked with a lot of different people with a lot of different issues, bilingual mostly, right? So it was between Polish clients and British authorities. So I would work with schools, social services, courts, police, solicitors, doctors, schools, and all sorts of different things. where I would help people in need get to where they were going. So that was the main part of my late 20s, early 30s. And that's where I learned how to probably produce quite a good public speech. That's where I started writing and creating my own workshops, working with domestic abuse victims, with single mothers, and with clients suffering from a lot of anxiety and a lot of social stigma. So that was the main sort of starting point. From there, I decided that I know enough about, in a way, human mind, and I will be probably quite fit to work as a coach or as a therapist. But my life seemed to be shattered at that point. My personal life, I was a young mom, divorced, in another relationship, quite a rocky relationship. But that thing we'll talk about on different occasion. But regardless the fact that I was doing workshops and running workshops for domestic abuse victims, I ended up being one myself. And I've gone through highs and lows. I've got through courts, police, and all sort of things. You name it, I've done it. Financial abuse, psychological abuse, mental abuse, physical just as well. So I've experienced quite a lot to actually later be able to work with people who have been experiencing similar things, because I could really relate to how it would feel, right? Being a person from different country, working, studying, providing my services in the UK, at certain points I also came across some kind of criticism, right? So I always learned in a very assertive way to stand up to it, to make sure that I do what I'm meant to do, and do not really let anyone's opinion get into me, hurt me in the way that will stop me in my tracks. So if anything, it was more motivating than anything else. Knowing that I want to be a therapist, but also knowing that my life wasn't quite worked out to the point where I wanted it to be, I almost felt like a bit of a hypocrite trying to provide therapy services to anyone, while I was feeling that my life is a bit of a crumble. So I followed a sort of strategy of healthy body, healthy mind. And with that, I went into manual therapies, where I studied with very extensively with London School of Massage, number of different courses, including sports massage, oncology massage, so working with people with cancer, medical massages, lymphatic drainage, pregnancy, and the general sort of courses of giving me knowledge of human body. That would cover extensively physiology, obviously anatomy, and so on. So I was quite prepared to work with that. And being in that business at that point for, I think it was about 2 years at that point, I realized that any person that I had on the table, I'll say maybe 90% of the people that I had on my massage couch, always had some kind of a little mental condition in a way. By mental condition, I obviously mean something like anxiety, or suffering from social stigma, or having some kind of eating disorder, or having been through certain traumas, and then obviously that creates that creates certain issues for our mental well-being, right? So there was no escaping anymore. I knew I've done enough. I knew I've done enough studies. I knew I've done enough studies on human body. I knew I've done enough studies on human mind. And from then, I thought I need something to let me get those people from where they are to somewhere better, to somewhere brighter. And I thought, well, life coaching would be a great thing, because that's where we set goals. That's where we plan the future. That's where we create a whole vision boards, or that's where we go and we can basically create a plan and sort of then go step after step after step and get to our final goal, our final destination. So that seemed like a perfect idea. So I did that, and I managed to work through lockdown. That was so I did my training before that, and then in lockdown, just as it was getting quite hard to obviously be out and about and communicate with others, online sessions kicked in, and I was petrified. I was petrified. I was never great with reading someone's body language through camera. As you can see me, I am quite obviously energetic, quite mobile, and I know right now you cannot see my feet, right? Or majority of times you can't see my fingers of my left hand, and the same happens when I look at you. I don't know if you're wiggling around. I don't know if your feet are trembling. I don't know if you're trying to, scratch a line over the carpet with your big toe, or if you're playing with your fingers. So that obviously strips us from a lot of body language being read. So I always thought, gosh, how will I manage that? But knowing how many people are there needing help, and we probably all remember how hard it was and how some people were lonely, or some people suffered from increased domestic abuse because obviously they were kind of locked up in a house with the person that could have been hurting them. How our kids suffered because they were stripped out of possibilities of going to school and talking to their friends. And I remember that time my daughter had just started secondary school, so she was 11, and lockdown kicked in when she was just about 12, so the same year. And being a quiet person and a bit of an introvert the way she is, she found it very hard to make friends. So she just had barely started making good connections, trusting people, and that's when lockdown came in. So I knew how important it is for everyone to keep some kind of relation going, right? And I thought, well, I've got to give it a shot because there are so many people waiting and there are so many people in need, and obviously, and I just was struggling a little, to keep up on top with everything else. So people who were willing to do it online, people who were looking, and life coaching offered other possibilities. Life coaching offered something that that probably therapy doesn't offer, because we were looking into a brighter future. We're looking about what will you create after we come out of the lockdown. What do you want to be? I've had seen that time so many people who actually changed their lives completely. They turned their careers around. They went from being a teacher into running their own businesses, or leaving their jobs as teachers and going into some kind of craft work. So a lot of things changed. We had that time, and the time in that case worked towards our benefit. But there were so many people also who suffered from not being able to communicate with others, elderly, some who lost their close ones, some who had already lost their close ones before, and the only link to their outside world would be their adult children, and they weren't even able to see them because they weren't either in their bubble at that time, or they were too far away, or obviously because of someone else was elderly and had already some pre-existing health conditions, wouldn't be able to have them into their houses. So it was so hard. So it's the online coaching picked up that time, and following that, I thought, why stop there? I don't stop. I don't like to stop. I like to pause. I like to observe what's happening. I like to see what's needed, what changes we need to do, what changes we need to introduce, and carry on going. So by that time, I had been certified as a mindfulness coach as well. And I thought, okay, well, mindfulness quite close with obviously meditation. I was doing session online. I was introducing a bit of a meditation towards the end of coaching session, which was actually sort of coming across as a bit of a hypnotherapy. And I felt like, okay, well, that's the way to go. So post lockdown, I went on a very extensive course where I met tons of lovely people, very talented mentors, and we did that over a course of number of months. It was quite exhausting, but also very, very informative, and that's where I qualified as a level 5 life coach. Uh, that gave me tons of, again, new possibilities. The doors have opened that time. My workshops became quite popular. I did quite a few with single mums. I did some, one that I'm very proud of is anxiety in men. I remember my first workshop where about 14 men turned up, and it was like an intro session, and majority of them wouldn't like to talk about themselves or about their issues, so they were always looking around, sort of hoping that someone else would pick up some kind of information, conversation, then they would maybe jump in. So on the second day, when the actual workshop started to run properly, I had, out of 14, I had 11. And then the following week, because it was only across number of weeks, I had 8. And those 8 men stayed with me until the end of the workshop. I think they did a great chunk of work. And the people that did not return at that time, I was in contact with for several months after. We were talking. Some of them came into sessions for one-on-one coaching. It was based on the fact that they just didn't have strength or courage to open up and talk in front of others. There was some domestic abuse involved. Yes, men get abused as well. And some of them were basically embarrassed about their issues. Some of them had certain traumas that they wouldn't like to talk in front of others. But we all sort of kept in contact and managed to get it all going in a positive way. So yeah, so during hypnotherapy, that training was amazing. So I did hypnotherapy for children counseling and hypnotherapy. I work with a lot of kids. I work with a lot of teenagers, not always using hypnotherapy as a tool, but it is a great tool. It does help. So yes, so that's what I've been up to basically over the last 10 years. I think I got to a quite good breakdown of about last 10 years of my life. I work basically with people throughout the world, right? I've got clients from Spain. I cover quite a few clients from Emirates. I cover quite a few clients from Poland, Polish clients in the UK, and all different types of clients in the UK, based in the UK, online and face-to-face in my Twickenham office. I will work with everyone as long as we feel that this is the right fit, right? I need you to be at ease with me, and I need you to know that you can open up and you can trust. But I also trust that that process is a long process, and sometimes you may feel that I or the other therapies that you may have been to before, you're just not the right fit. So I will never discourage you from carrying on with therapy, but I will say if you're not feeling comfortable and confident enough, we need to try something else, or you need to try something else, and we always find a way. Children and teenagers, now that is probably the area where I love to work the most with. Don't get me wrong, I like to cover everything from personal growth, development, career change, and different issues that I've mentioned to you before. I do weight management, I do smoking cessation with adults, obviously, and I see improvement in everyone, right? What is different about teenagers is that they are in therapy not because it's their choice, and that's always my soft spot. It has been and it always will be. They are being brought to me by someone who loves them, by someone who cares for them greatly, by someone who's worried about them, or maybe that they're struggling with certain things, or maybe that they can't open up and talk freely about certain things at home. And they don't know what's going to happen. They hardly ever do any research. When you go into your on your computer, your phone, and you want to type in my name, you will see certain, number of information on me. You can go on the website, you can check. You decide if you want me to be the one working with you. Whereas kids haven't usually got that chance. They are being brought to me by a parent, a loving parent, a caring parent, someone sometimes who feels that they struggle just as well because they can't help their own child. So they don't know what to expect. And some little problems, they are huge to them. And yet they feel silly to be able to talk about it. They feel like they say, oh, it's just stupid. Oh, it's just embarrassing. I can't say it. I can't do this. I said, look, if there is something that bothers you, it's big enough for me to sit down and listen to you, right? If this is something that doesn't let you function the way you would love to function, if it doesn't let you be the person that you want to be, if it strips you from the possibility of communication with your friends or your parents or your teachers and talking to them the way you want to talk to them, right? If there's anything that bothers you at all, it's never stupid and it's never too much for me to listen and to help you. So with the tiniest little things, if any of you teenagers are listening to it, or any of the kids, any of the young minds, young adults, nothing is ever silly enough for me not to listen to you, okay? There are things that I worry about and they could be so tiny to you, but they are so huge to me. And by me looking through a different perspective, I can be able to offer you certain solution to fight the issue, right? So nothing is ever too huge. And when they come, when you come, you feel at ease. I want you to feel at ease. I want you to know that this is your time, this is your space. And when you come into this room, or if you sit with me online, or if we're anywhere else, you are in charge, okay? You are the master of your plan. We create certain, obviously, ground rules, right, for our work. And then we create a plan that will suit you, your life, your lifestyle. And that's what we go with. So coming to therapy, regardless of your age, you are always in a driver's seat, right? I'm there to support you, to guide you, to make sure you slow down when you have to make sure you take the corner when you have to, right? To take that comfort zone with you wherever you're going. So it's not that we'll be staying in the comfort zone forever. We will be taking it with us. It will be expanding the comfort zone, right? But no issue is ever, ever too little. Whether you worry about your own communication with others, whether you're worried about your partner's health, about your own health, if you're going through grief, anything, it's always worth listening to. And everyone is entitled to be helped. And everyone is entitled to be listened to and to have this amazing life that we all crave for, right? We only get one. So it's always worth going for the best option and for the best version of it, right? I've gone way over 10 minutes. I've done 24. I don't think we're going to be able to put it into anything else but the YouTube video, but I'll try and create some shorter versions as well. Please follow and subscribe, share with your friends, and if anything ever happens and you want to discuss it, or just reach out for some help or some information or motivation or anything that you think I could help you with, please reach out to me. Please reach out. It's always worth to live the life, or the best version of the life that we can possibly imagine, okay? We only get one, and we have to make sure that it counts. Well, I all wish you a lovely day, and thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching it. It's a bit long, but I think we've covered it quite a lot. And if there's anything else you want to know about me, about the work that I do, please do get in touch. Thank you very much for your time. Lots of love.